I'm going to hand over now to Fati Alhassan. Fati is the Executive Director of the Grassroots Sisterhood Foundation in Northern Ghana, an organisation dedicated to supporting networks of grassroots women across 3 regions. So over to you, Fati. Would you like me to share my screen, or are you comfortable doing that yourself?
The presentation I'm going to make is in the context of the Northern region. I work in urban and rural areas that have history of long dry seasons with only 5 months of rain. We have recurring droughts and floods, which lead to a lot of food insecurity and loss of livelihoods. And also we have issues with lack of women's access and control to land. Our communities, we have undertaken several research work related to land and climate change and development. And most of them are around risk and vulnerabilities due to climate change, women's access and control to land, good land governance using the gender evaluation criteria. In all this, we found one common thread, and those are interlinkages between grassroots women's land ownership and reduction of vulnerabilities to climate change impact. As a matter of fact, our research activities has galvanized our communities to do a lot of work on their own issues and try to find appropriate solutions to them. In that situation, communities have been able to own the processes of research that we have taken with them. And one of such has resulted in the establishment or creation of several initiatives, which also include the Community Land Development Committee, which is a space for women to have their voices heard in land governance. Our challenge during this research has been the slow response of government to the commitments that they have made during our validation and findings, presentation of our findings, due to lack of budget allocation for grassroots priorities. Most of the times, issues at the grassroots hardly reach the central government level. And so there's a lot of, there's a gap between what we do there and how they can allocate our resources to us. In the process, we have been able to build a lot of relationships with our traditional authority. We have and other government institutions, like the National Disaster Management Organization, which has oftentimes invited us in their planning methods as well as in mitigation activities. Traditional authorities have also been able to accept a tool that we developed during, after the research that we did to ensure women's secure tenure. It's a gender sensitive land tool. It's a kind of land lease that gives security of tenure for women at our communities. And also, in the process, we have been able to collect a lot of data. And recently, during the COVID era, government has, our Metropolitan Assembly has used our data that we have collected in how government has provided water to rural communities in the partial lockdown that came during the COVID era. And so there is that kind of synergy between our traditional leaders, traditional organizations, government agencies, as well as what they do with the data that we collect. So it's very, very important for us to, I just want to be very clear on one aspect that we are trying to get researchers to support us in, and that is where I want to put all my energy in. Grassroots women are the experts in their own communities. They gather information. We in a way validate this information with communities. We validate this information with government institutions so that they can hear and know about our issues at the community level. We also have a lot of work dealing with research organizations, especially with our academia in the universities. Most of the time, the gap is how they collect the information from us and what they do with the information from grassroots or from grassroots groups. We would want very, very much for our researchers and our academic organizations, academia, who come to grassroots level to gather information, to appreciate and recognize our contributions to inform gatherings in our communities. I'm on the fifth slide right now, which has to do with the support that we need from our researchers. We want them to appreciate and recognize our contribution to information gathering in our communities. We want them to include our findings in their research work and policy proposals related to climate and development. Most of the activities are at the grassroots level. Whatever is done and how it is felt by the people is at the grassroots level. And oftentimes researchers pick this information and it is just out there and nobody actually knows what they do with that information. They don't even come back to validate that information with us. And so it's very important for them to come back to us, validate the information with us, and include our findings and recommendations in their research work. We would also want them to acknowledge and attribute our local knowledge and work. At the grassroots level, most of the times you will find at international levels presentations that are made and it is concerning us, and we have given that information and there is no attribution to us. We are not recognized in any aspect. That information is coming from the grassroots level and collected by grassroots women's groups. And so we are asking for an acknowledgement and attribution of our local knowledge and our work. We also want to be identified as partners in climate research and development processes. It's very important as all these things affect the grassroots. It affects our communities. And so if we are seen as partners in that research, we'll be able to offer much more local knowledge for the information that they are gathering. And we believe that that will go a long way to resolve some of the issues that we have around policy, which is always developed at the top, and there's a gap in the middle, and it does not even reach the people on the ground. And we are also expecting goodwill from our researchers. Most of the times, the information that they take from us is very, very important to them, but there is no feedback to us, and there is no goodwill even to tell us that this is what we have done with your information, and this is how or where we are going with it. So we are expecting these 4 issues to be addressed properly by our research organizations. The other issues that I have mentioned in the previous slides can be discussed when we go into the group discussion, but I wanted to be very, very specific on what we grassroots groups want our researchers to do with the information that we gather at the community level, and that we share with them all the time when they come to us for information. Thank you very much.